was lost, but now I know who I am. I'm the Hebrew son. I wandered through the shadows, looking for the light. Taught to hate my own reflection, caught in lies so tight. But the book opened up and I saw my name. The truth came rushing like a holy flame. I'm not a slave, I'm a son of a king. Judah runs in my blood, I was born to sing. The covenant lives in the breath I breathe. Yes, hand pulled me out, now I believe. Oh, I am the Hebrew son, from the tribe where the lion comes from. You tried to strip my name, but I overcome. The Most High called me by his tribe. I am the Hebrew son. My soul remembers where I come from. A chosen light under your sun. No weapon formed can make me run. They told me I was nothing, just another name. But my father wrote my story before I ever came. They hid my crown, tried to blind my eyes, but the Ruach whispered you were born to rise. Do not rise. Zion is calling, dry bones are walking. I hear the chauffeur sound in the night. The sun is rising, a new day dawning. We walk in power, dressed in light. I am the Hebrew son, no more hiding, I won't run. Yeah, has written my song, and to his arms I belong. Call me by my name, I am not the same. I'm the Hebrew son, the battle's already won. I was laced from a white stone, and in the stone a new name.
Shalom, everybody in the chat. I hope you're all doing well. Well, I think since September, we have seen Charlie Kirk's widow, and people have been talking about her strange behavior and how she always have that white tissue in her hand, dab in her eye, and you don't see no tears, and just, her whole mannerisms. Well, I don't think this is gonna clear anything up about her being strange. You're probably gonna still believe the same thing after listening to her talk. And she was talking at one point about her kids, where her kids asking about, Charlie. And she said, "Oh, he's away working for Jesus." I was like, "Wow. Just won't tell them the truth, huh?" There are ways you can explain the passing of a person to a child. I think adults just complicate it instead of talking to them on their level so that they understand. So I'm going to let you listen to this interview that she recently did on Fox News. And it's all of the usual things. You're going to see the white tissue and her dabbing and dabbing her eye, and I'm like, "Wow, where are the tears?" I mean, seriously, where are the tears? You keep doing that and there's not nary tear. Plus, I think she's kind of on the weird side. That's just my opinion. So, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen so you can check out this interview and see some of the reactions to it. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Swirling around about Charlie's assassination.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
When everything happened, my phone died and became a black hole. I just didn't turn it on for weeks on end. I've intentionally insulated myself.
Well, we haven't seen you isolate yourself because we seeing you a lot out. We seeing you like showing up like a type of behavior that is like not for a person that being insulated and self, they feel
Because
uncomfortable.
I need to guard my heart. And I need to be there for my kids. And I need to be there for Turning Point. And what I've realized through all of this is that everyone grieves differently. Everyone is trying to figure out, and I don't blame them. How does this happen? How does somebody become so radicalized where they can justify this in their own head? We just lost one of the greatest voices of our generation. Why? How? What's behind it? Like, everyone's trying to process this.
Everybody, no, we are trying to process you. We're trying to think in our mind what is going on. How can we justify the behaviors she's presented? What is happening? Like, is she's okay? Are we okay? What's happening?
And I respect that. But where my heart is just asking for some grace is for the ones who were there that day. They have to relive that every single day. He didn't die in a car accident. He didn't die from cancer. He was assassinated.
Exactly. And that's why we are so confused. Because of the behavior, you are selling the word. The thing that is happening with you. We cannot glue all this together. It is incredible.
And the difference between this and previous assassinations in this country, there was no social media. There was no AI. I can tell you how many fake images are out there of all of this. And again, my only request is that just please pray and consider and think about whatever you put online, because it's going to impact his kids in the future. I don't want my kids to go on the internet one day when they're older and see things that it's just, we're all trying to process this in their own way, and I appreciate that. But just some grace would be nice.
You see, the problem is that every time we look in a shoe, either you're making a weird look up with your eyes movement, eyes flip up and down, you know, like these trying things with your napkins everywhere. I don't know what you're trying in your face, if it's you're cleaning your than just a regular military. Mm-hmm.
We have to agree this is weird, right?
Would Charlie have forgiven his killer?
He's in heaven. And he sees everything, full picture. And I truly believe that if the Lord, which this does not happen, but if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and if the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for, do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no. Wow, he'd say no.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I've never seen someone try to wipe away more fake dry tears in my life than Erika Kirk. But this statement is bizarre. It's bizarre. It's framing Charlie Kirk as if he was some type of like savior figure. They've already started saying this about him.
Charlie Kirk died for our sins.
Christ died at 33 years old, but he changed the trajectory of history. Charlie died at 31 years old, but because he had surrendered, he also now has changed the trajectory of history.
So seeing the reactions that happened to your husband's death, the rise in racism, the rise of the responses of the evangelical Christian church, white nationalism, anti-Semitism, all the above. When asked if Charlie Kirk would forgive his killer, his shooter, you say, well, if God offered him to come back, instead of seeing the reactions that are happening, he would say no. It's fucking weird. It's bad enough you're rubbing up on JD Vance, you're rubbing up on Trump. He's calling your name in the Oval Office to give you a kiss.
Where's Erika?
It's really strange. You haven't been able to muster up one single tear in 2 months. You've even been caught putting on the cry stick, like the tear stick under your eyes to cry. I just don't know. Something is off about her. Something is severely off about her, and I just don't know what it is. And I can't figure it out. But this whole thing is fucking strange.
Man, what an interesting interview with Erika Kirk and Jesse Waters, wasn't it? You want to know what my favorite part of it all was? And she was like, I never saw the assassination video. It was too traumatic for me and I refused to watch it. So while we all have to be subjected to watch it, she has the luxury of not having to, which is great. That's good for her. So she doesn't want to watch that video that we all had to watch, but she still wants to know what happens to her husband. After he gets shot, he gets taken to the hospital. She goes to the hospital. The doctor says, it's too traumatic. You shouldn't be back here right now. We don't recommend it. And she says, I want to see what they did to my husband. To which he takes her back and shows her what we all saw on the video. And then a few days later, she posts his dead body in a casket. But on Jesse Waters' interview, she wants to talk about certain videos and imagery are too traumatic for her to take.
In the interview, when Erika was asked what the hardest part of her day was, and she said, the nights are the hardest. I'm sorry. I had such a Friends like Rachel and Monica flashback. You guys remember the scene? It's actually when Rachel's trying to stall Monica from getting ready for her wedding because Chandler went missing. And Rachel's trying to pretend that she's having this emotional breakdown because she's single and thinks she's never going to get married. And Rachel's all like, the nights are the hardest. And then the day comes and it's just as hard. And the night comes again and it's so hard. Like that kind of thing. When Erika Kirk ever said, like, the nights are the hardest, I was like, oh my God, it's so giving like the fake reaction, sadness, and frustration that Rachel was giving on Friends. When I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, it's too on the nose. It's too on this whole thing being fake is just too on the nose.
Do you feel safe?
What are they going to threaten me with? Going to heaven sooner to be with my husband? And I don't say that to be reckless. I do not. I do not say that because I'm out in the streets like, here I am, come find me. And it's not at all. It's a fearlessness that's rooted in the understanding that I will have my day and my time, whenever that is. When the Lord knows that I've completed my mission. And I'm not afraid. Charlie wasn't afraid either. We never lived in fear. If we did, we wouldn't get anything done. He had this smirk on his face. It was so sweet. He had this smirk on his face where it meant three things to me. First, that he died doing what he loved. The second was that he was at peace. And I gave him a kiss. Gave him a kiss. And then before I left the room, which was one of the hardest moments of my life, was leaving him in that room. Excuse me. I looked at him and I thought to myself, that smirk to me is that look of, you thought you could stop what I've built. You thought that you could end this vision, this movement, this revival. You thought you could do that by murdering me. You got my body. You didn't get my soul.
Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
By that time, the video was everywhere. How do you process that?
I never saw the video. I never will see it. I never want to see it. There's certain things you see in your life that you can never unsee. There's certain things you see in your life that mark your soul forever. I don't want my husband's public assassination to be something I ever see. I don't want my kids to ever see that. And for people who actually enjoy watching that, which is quite literally sick, what if that was your father or your brother or your sister? There's a perspective shift there. We're human. Life is fragile. And there is so much beauty in this world. Why would you waste any portion of your life looking at something so evil?
Charlie was answering a question about trans violence when he was murdered. Do you think that was a coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidences.
Do you think they've caught your husband's killer? The defense wants to ban cameras in the courtroom. How do you feel about that?
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. This is something that could impact a generation and generations to come.
Would Charlie have forgiven his killer?
He's in heaven. And he sees everything, full picture. And I truly believe that if the Lord, which this does not happen, but if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and if the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for, do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no.
Wow.
He'd say no. Baby, just give me your wisdom. Speak to me. People would say, if you can't sleep, take something to sleep. The Lord has let me sleep just fine. But I don't want to take anything. That's not how we operate. If I take anything, it'll numb me from being able to hear from the Lord. And for Charlie, I want to be able to talk to him. I want to feel this so deeply.
So hold on. Let me get this straight. This woman is so blessed that she doesn't have to grieve or mourn the assassination of her husband, right? She doesn't cry real tears because, well, she's so blessed. And she sleeps perfectly at night, knowing that her husband was assassinated. Has no problem sleeping. She doesn't need to take anything. She doesn't need, she sleeps perfectly at night. Y'all, is that really grief? Is that really mourning? You mean she's so subhuman? It just doesn't affect her. It affects the rest of the world, grief and mourning and this whole situation. But Erika Kirk is beyond grieving the husband that she loves so much. She sleeps perfectly at night. Okay, if you say so. I'm just saying there's that.
I know that Sesame Street, but all these are for you, baby. These are from Daddy's friends.
Dave, I'll read it to you.
You told your children that Charlie was going on a work trip with Jesus. Are they still asking, where's daddy?
Yes, my daughter continues to ask. I told her the other day because she said, I just miss daddy. And where's daddy? When is he coming home? And zipping? And daddy's still with Jesus. And I said, they are so busy. And I said, if ever you want to talk to daddy, you just look up to the sky and start talking to him. He can hear you. And so I told her, I said, you know, daddy, guy is in heaven. She goes, so does that he's in a different house? You're in a city, yes, baby. He is building a house for us. Some people would say a mansion. She goes, do you think I could go sometime? Excuse me. Children are so precious. And I said, baby, we will all go one day. You will all go one day. It makes me speechless because it's for the kids. And that's how I can keep telling the kids, you know, daddy's thinking about you and loves you. All these people. I mean, it's endless, which is amazing. But yes, baby. The alleged assassin, Tada Robinson.
The defense wants to ban cameras in the courtroom. How do you feel about that?
And were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras, and well, why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. Let everyone see and know how it happened, how it even got to this point. This is something that could impact a generation or generations to come of understanding there is never a justifiable moment for violence, especially political violence. And that's another reason why, too, I've been so open about certain private moments within our family. There's nothing to hide. Let the world see. Let them see. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, I forgive him.
You shocked a lot of people when you forgave Tyler Robinson. How did you do that?
I remember going over the speech the night before, and there was a portion in there, and I remember putting about how Charlie was trying to save the lost boys of the West. He's trying to save the exact type of individual who murdered him. And when I reread that the night before, I thought it just was weighing on my heart. Forgive it. A lot of people in this world think that forgiveness is a weakness, or that when you forgive, you forget. And it's the exact opposite. It's a form of freedom. The enemy stole my husband. And if I didn't forgive, it's more so for me than this man. because the enemy would have my heart. And I knew that every day the Lord forgives me for things. So he forgives everybody else for things, small, big. And what an example of forgiveness. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It never is easy, but it's praying. It's so praying. And again, it's not a weakness, but it's a way for me to be able to say, you'll never get me. You'll never get me.
Would Charlie have forgiven his killer?
He's in heaven. And he sees everything, full picture, which this does not happen. But if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and as the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for. Do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no. Wow. He'd say
If convicted, do you think your husband's killer should get the death penalty?
I do not want this man's blood on my ledger when I stand before the Lord. I want the government to decide. That's biblical too. Justice will ultimately be served.
Y'all get ready for some more fake tears and some bad acting.
Do you think they've caught your husband's killer?
So, something I'm so grateful for is that we have one of the most incredible teams for this case. I would never wish it upon anybody to have to go through what we are going through. To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
It's very odd that she says that she saw an autopsy report because we have the dispatch audio where they're telling us that there is no autopsy that was performed.
So I did do the request. They emailed me back. He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
That's very interesting because the medical examiner has apparently had his license pulled in 2 other states for falsifying reports. Obviously, this entire thing is full of lies. They understand that the average American has no memory whatsoever and they can just gaslight and make up any kind of story that they want. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Make sure you like and follow. And if you want to support, make sure you subscribe on Facebook.
Erika Kirk's most recent interview with Fox News really blew my mind, and not for the reasons that you may think. As always, I don't debate politics here on my platform, but what I do talk about is body language and psychology. So I want to talk about some things that I noticed. So in the beginning, he asks Erika, so who was your husband? So she looks down, she smiles really big. She says, I can't help but smile when I hear his name or say it. Then she looks up at the interviewer and she gives this very direct, stern eye contact. In my opinion, this looks like a performed sincerity cue. People who are trying to be believable often give strong, deliberate eye contact to compensate. What I thought was interesting was her response to the question, who was your husband? She never actually talked about how good of a husband he was in that response. She goes on to talk about how he was a loyal friend, he was a great father, and all of his accomplishments, but she doesn't mention how wonderful of a husband he was. In my opinion, this omission here is a major clue. People grieving a spouse almost always refer to the role that they had in that person's life. This could actually mean a couple different things: possible emotional distance, role avoidance, or possibly a narrative that she can recite cognitively but not actually feel in the moment because of emotional distance. So next I want to talk about when she's discussing the mutual friend Tyler, about how he contacted her to come potentially work for Charlie at the business. They sat down, had like an interview, and then he decided that he didn't want to hire her, that he actually wanted to date her. But she said he grilled me for hours and then made the comment that he was very direct, that he didn't want to hire her. He actually wanted to date her. But in my opinion, this kind of is very telling about their relationship, that it was possibly transactional. And I noticed that she said what he wanted to talk about. She never mentioned anything about it being what she wanted to talk about. Honestly, to me, it kind of seems like she has some built up resentment towards him. Maybe that there was a lot of dominance on his end, possibly not enough on hers. And when she says the comment about, don't you want to be friends first? And he says no. And she says he didn't want to waste my time or his. In my opinion, this really just paints the story of a scripted love story. She adds a religious justification when she says the Lord knows that she needed someone assertive in her life. Someone wraps an unhealthy relationship dynamic in religious verbiage is often defense, maybe a shield, or possibly a way to redirect suspicion away from the relationship's oddities. Next, I want to talk about when the interviewer says, "Your husband was on a mission to save Western civilization. Did you know that's what you signed up for?" Her response was, "No, I didn't sign up for anything. I just married the love of my life." She gives very direct eye contact after that, almost like she was offended. In my opinion, this is called reactive defensiveness. It's very fast, automatic, very much wanting to shut down anything before accusations start rolling in. Could indicate discomfort, or it could be a threat to the narrative that she's trying to maintain. And to me, that really hard eye contact was an attempt to regain control of the conversation. In my opinion, that "I just married the love of my life" could possibly indicate a sentimental deflection, basically where she may be trying to reframe the relationship as organic, pure. Next thing that I want to talk about is probably the most important one that I noticed out of the entire interview. Asks her, "Do you believe they caught your husband's unaliver?" She doesn't actually directly answer this question. She just basically says, "I don't wish this pain on anyone," and basically, "I trust my team." This could possibly be a deception indicator known as evasive response pattern. In my opinion, this is kind of trying to avoid committing to a certain fact, possibly concerned about contradicting known information or information that may come out later, or strategic distancing maybe from the actual truth. People sometimes avoid binary answers, maybe out of fear of being caught lying later down the road. This could also be referred to as group deferral. Instead of taking personal responsibility for her belief, she places it on her team, a collective group. Next, let's talk about the emotional reframing whenever the interviewer asks her what does she think about all the different conspiracy theories spiraling around. She basically redirects her answer to talking about wanting the people who witnessed his to be shown grace instead of actually answering how she feels about the theories. She shifts the focus from conspiracy theories to bystanders' pain to, in my opinion, distract the conversation, or possibly because it's something that makes her extremely uncomfortable to think about.
Jimmy Kimmel lied about your husband's murder and didn't really apologize. What would you say to Jimmy Kimmel?
Same thing I told Sinclair. They asked, I haven't really told anybody this, so they asked, "Do you want Jimmy to give you an apology? Do you want to be on his show? How can we make it right?" Through our team, I responded. I said, "Tell them thank you. We received their note. This is not our issue, not our mess. If you want to say I'm sorry to someone who's grieving, go right ahead. But if that's not in your heart, don't do it. I don't want it. I don't need it."
Listen to what Erika says here about Mikey McCoy. She doesn't mean to expose him or Turning Point USA, but she does. Watch, and then I'll show you.
Did you find out Charlie had been shot?
Was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I have my phone and I see the video come in of him flinging out the hats. And I said, "Mom, look, it started." So we saw the hats being flung. I put my phone down and it was on silent, so I had no reason to look back at it. I moved my mom. I went back to grab my phone, and that's when Mikey started calling me. Called me within seconds.
I called Erika. I just remember it rang like 3 or 4 times. I didn't know what to say. Those are the words that will change someone's life forever, and you have to be the one to say it. That was the first time I've ever called her during a campus tour stop.
And so Mikey called me, and I'll never forget him just being like, "Charlie's been shot. He's been shot. Get the kids. Get security. Get the kids. Get the kids. He's been shot." I sprinted out of her treatment center. I just collapsed in the middle of the parking lot. Called our security. Yeah. Unbelievable nightmare.
So according to Erika, Mikey called her within seconds. If you might remember, that Mikey McCoy has been under a lot of fire for how he reacted less than 1 second after Charlie was shot. He put his phone or his hands to his ears, looks like his phone, and began walking away. People were highly suspicious of this. And we were told by Turning Point USA, executive producer of the Charlie Kirk show, Andrew Colvette, that Mikey did not make a phone call here. He, in fact, put his hands up over his ears because the shot was very loud. Remember this.
Last thing, because this is part of the video allegations here, is that they think they're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not. He was taking social videos, which he would send to our group chat, which we would then put on Charlie's social while the event was happening. So you could see like the crowd come in or his interactions. And we were only 2 questions into this event. So he was still getting it out to all the chats he needed to do, which he did at every event. He turns around and it was so blaringly loud, I'm told. You would know this better than I, but this is what I'm told. It was so blaringly loud and he was so shell-shocked. He put his fingers in his ear, but his phone was still in his hand. He walks away.
Blake Neff, who's also on this Charlie Kirk show from Turning Point USA, who was right next to Mikey McCoy when the shot rang out, also explained that Mikey McCoy and him separated. It was not until they reconvened after the fact, when he encountered Mikey with his lip quivering, that the phone call was then made to Erika and then to his father, Rob McCoy. Candace Owens came out straight up yesterday and said that this was an inside job. People are suspicious because of inconsistencies and lies.
You think they've caught your husband's killer?
So, something I'm so grateful for is that we have one of the most incredible teams for this case. I would never wish it upon anybody to have to go through what we are going through. To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected. I trust our team.
So it's not a straight yes or no. And the implication could be that she trusts the team to find more or to get answers, or if this is not it, to tell her what the true answers are. And I think that's why this is going viral, because they're going, okay, does she actually believe that Tyler Robinson acted alone? And obviously Jesse is not going to push her on that, because it would have probably felt more like an interrogation rather than just sitting down and speaking through some of these topics that are probably hard to talk about in general. But I am hopeful that what she's implying is that she trusts her team to do the due diligence. She says that she has seen the autopsy report. She has seen certain things. Obviously, none of us have seen the autopsy report. And I don't know. I didn't know what to make of that. Is she saying that there's more that's going to come out? Is that kind of a foreshadowing that more is going to come out and things are going to be clear? I hope so. I really do. Because in terms of what the public has seen so far, I would say nothing has been convincing. And I'm trying to imagine what they would have that the public hasn't seen that could be sort of a smoking gun. And in theory, it would be the footage, right? Tyler Boyer said, we have footage in 4K, all of the stuff when he was tweeting. And similarly, not the university, but somebody else was saying that, at every angle, every area of the university is covered. Their excuse for not showing the public was they didn't want it to in any way impact the case. That has never made sense to me. That excuse has never made sense to me. In fact, I would imagine that when there was a manhunt going on, before you even thinking about the case, but rather thinking about keeping people safe, that would have been a good time to drop some clear footage of the individual. But it's possible. It's possible they have actual clear footage of Tyler Robinson jumping down onto the rooftop and firing the shot. That's all possible. And so we're just going to have to wait and see on that. Now, I'm going to say personally, and maybe even selfishly, probably selfishly, again, I'm fallen. I am very fallen, obviously. I was extremely excited that she responded to the Catholic innuendo once and for all in her own way. Obviously, it was not a direct question or anything. But two things happened here. One, you probably didn't catch, which is behind Jesse and Erika as they're walking backstage at the University of Mississippi event that they headlined, there was a priest. Look in the corner there. I know a priest collar when I see one. Yep, that is the same priest that she took with her to the hospital when Charlie was shot. And I don't know. I am maintaining that I think this may have been about more than the architecture. And in case you are not there yet, In addition to that, the priest being caught behind the scenes there, they traveled with Erika and she discusses Charlie's affinity for Saint Michael. Take a listen.
When we first started dating, I asked him, I was like, why don't you wear a cross? I was like, why? You say you're a Christian, but you don't wear a cross. He's like, I just wanted y'all to really, Candace, whatever. I just wanted y'all to see Erica's responses to questions. And it, first of all, it looks so unnatural. Her replies are so unnatural. And on top of that, like I said, she keeps dabbing her eyes. I don't know why, because you don't see nary tear coming out of her eyes. And it's been like that the whole time. Even when she did that first weird speech, like the very next day after he was unalived, and she did that speech, and it was the same thing, same little white tissue in her hand, dabbing back and forth with her eyes. You don't see nothing, you know? I just find the whole thing about Charlie really bizarre. It makes no sense. Her reaction, I have seen the reaction of widows, and they sure don't react like her. I know no two people grieve alike, but that is like way over the top. Something else that you just don't see. You just don't see. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it is just strange. And yeah, there's a lot of people that think what happened to Charlie or, inside job, and Tyler Robinson is just a fall guy. But there are many people that said they don't believe he did it. But he got named, but there are many saying that they don't believe it's him. Mhm. Yeah. So y'all, you kind of got an idea of what she was, the kind of questions she was being asked, how she answered the questions, her mannerisms. I'm just saying something is very off about this whole thing with her. She may be acting, but it's a very bad acting job that she's doing. It's very bad. Mhm. So I'm sure they're gonna probably push his trial, which I would not be surprised if it's sometime in 2026. I think they're gonna try to accelerate it for one reason or another, but we shall see. So y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. And also, I have Elon Musk, Dad Earl Musk, and him making these comments saying that black people can't rule without white people. First of all, we'll talk about that later. I got plenty to say about that. Like, they are a necessity in order to rule the earth, which is the biggest joke ever. So we'll laugh about that at another time. So my next live stream is at 3:45. It's Earl Musk and the very colonial interview that he did, because he sounds, yeah, you can tell he's definitely got that colonial mindset. So I will see you then. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. I deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.